Do you feel frustrated when somebody comes to you and they try to convince you about their opinions? Like they really want you to believe in what they believe in? It used to frustrate me a lot too. And today I want to have a conversation with you where we discuss and try to understand why this happens, why we try to convince each other of our opinions, and what can we do in order to actually not do that, in order to let ourselves live in a very grounded way, live in a very grounded state. So, welcome to day 15 of Codes by Source. I'm Ishani, your intuitive self leadership coach, and I am on a big mission. I want to help women live a life beyond logic where they embody their God given unstoppable self and quit people pleasing, quit playing small, embrace their life, take charge of their life. And this is the concept that has come over and over again, not even just as a lived experience, but it is an experience that comes back in so many client conversations that I have on a daily basis. So this is something that I have realized and I've noticed, and this is why we do this. When we try to convince other people about our opinions, what we are trying is to actually let them validate us. We are trying to actually convince ourselves about the opinions and beliefs that we have. It is because we aren't solid. We don't have a solid foundation even about our own beliefs. Because if you look at it, all the beliefs that we have had till now, or until you do like a lot of inner work trying to understand yourself, all the beliefs that you have are borrowed beliefs. We borrow beliefs from our parents, our family, our society, our teachers, our school, our college, right? And nowadays from social media as well. So we try to keep, because we all need to feel like we belong. And how do we get a sense of belonging? If you're very intuitive, you get it from an energy, which is what we call vibration, frequency. We feel safe. And when we are trying to convince somebody else about our opinions, what we're trying to do is forge a belongingness feeling. But we can't do that unless we have something similar. And values and opinions and beliefs are very important for us in order to have that kind of safe feeling with somebody. So when we don't have that feeling intuitively, and because so many of us are not online with our intuition, we try to convince each other. We try to convince and force each other to just please understand me. Like, this is what comes through. Please understand me. Please know me. Please see me. This is what we are trying to do. We are trying to force this feeling of belongingness by actually asking people to just think about my opinion and why I'm saying this. But the thing is that we have not even thought about our opinions. We have not even thought about our beliefs. Why do I believe in something? Why do I believe in this particular thing? Do I even believe in this, or have I just borrowed it from people around me? So we try to convince people because we don't have a solid understanding of our beliefs, our opinions. Because let's look at it this way. Have you met somebody who's a big believer in God? And if you're here, probably, if you're watching me, if you're listening to me, you probably are a big believer in God. Source, universe. Doesn't matter how you see them, how you connect to them, but you believe in God, right? Now, a devotee, a person who believes in God, a believer, when somebody says there's no God, I do not get shaken about it. I have seen people trying to convince me that there is no God, to people who are believers trying to convince that there is God. Like, we try to force each other to convince each other about this. And honestly, I used to also do that a lot when I had no understanding of or no solid foundation of what I believe in, who I am. I would also try to convince people about, okay, there is no God. There is no God. How can you believe there's so much suffering? There's this and that. I would do that. But now I actually just listen and observe and I reflect on my own time. I don't start debates, heated debates, or not even civilized debates. Debates are very important. It's very important that we question and try to understand, bring about an informed understanding. But to waste our energy to keep shouting and trying to convince others, that is not essential. That is not what I do. That is not people who know themselves, who have a solid understanding, solid grounding about themselves, about what they believe in, have. Why is it so crucial is because we are actually, what we're trying to do here, if we are trying to convince somebody else to think like I think, to believe in what I believe, actually what I'm trying to do is to seek validation from that person about what I believe in. Because when if they say, like for example, you're having a conversation with somebody and you say, and you are sharing something and they are not believing in you, and then you try and try and try, and ultimately they say, yes, you know what, you're right, you feel validated, you feel that, oh, I have this power now and I have convinced somebody, and you take that false sense of winning and you take it with the another person instead of going inwards and trying to understand what I tried to convince about the other person, am I even convinced about that thing? And that is a question that I keep asking about myself every time I have this the strong sense of I need to make them understand. I'm like, wait a minute. Does that mean I do not understand this thing? And I encourage you to also ask yourself, why am I trying so hard to convince other people? And this is something that is brought up in all my conversations almost with my clients, where they share their stories in the beginning, at least, of our coaching journey, where they keep sharing about how, because of their parents or because of their in-laws, they're not at peace, they're not able to fulfill their potential, and they're trying to seek validation from me, they're trying to convince, and by giving me examples, right? And I am somebody who holds a non-judgment space. I am not here to give them more validation, because I help women don't care about people pleasing. If I actually start giving them validation about what they believe in, and if they keep seeking that from me, they'll keep people pleasing, and I don't want that for them. So in the beginning, because they have the strong tendencies of people pleasing even in the coaching setup, and you might have also realized that, and I would encourage you to think about this when you go to a therapist, to a coach, or to a healer, or whoever, even a friend, you will only share with them when you feel like they believe in what you believe in, right? If you feel like there's 1% chance that they don't believe in you, you'll keep convincing them. And I've seen that they come to me, they talk to me about their parents and the in-laws and all of that, and of course it's valid, but I don't validate them, because if I do so, then they'll keep seeking validation from me, and that is not what I want. I want my women, my people, to actually be so solid in their understanding of themselves. They validate themselves. And I can see, like, when they try to convince me, I can see how much they are working hard, really hard, to think about more concepts, more ideas, more instances, more examples of the life situations that they have gone through, to try to tell me that it is not them actually, it is because of the other person. But then after a few questions, after the coaching, they realize that they're also not too sure about why there is a lack of peace in their life, why there is this constant overthinking in their lives. Because if you know, you solve it. It's that simple. If you are solid that this is why it's happening, some most of the times the problem dissolves like that. Okay. But they realize that their peace, their anxiety, their overthinking was actually maybe not because of them, not because of the other person, but actually because of them. Most problems that we face in our life are actually first created in our mind, in our thought. And then we find reasons in the outer world to justify them. And whatever we seek is always seeking us. So we create the whole scenario, whole situation in the outer world through the power of our mind, power of our thought. We manifest that thing into our reality because our mind is a meaning making machine. We have given this intention to our nervous system, to our mind, to actually look for instances, reality, or filter our reality, because we are not living the same reality. Not all of us. We have a filtered reality which comes through our reticular activating system. So we are all looking at a different reality. We are all living in a different reality. So what we are doing now is, through this, we are actually putting into our RAS this filtering, that look at it, like these are the people that have caused this. This is why I feel like this. That's why the problem that was not even there starts to manifest into reality. So instead of wasting our time, our energy trying to convince the other person that what I believe in is right, and please understand me, please believe in what I believe in, let's build a solid foundation in ourselves, in our knowing, so that the building of that solid foundation actually dissolves this need to seek validation from others, this need to convince other people of why I am worth it, why I am important, why you need to believe in what I'm saying, why I am right. I'm not convinced that what I believe in is right all the time. I do believe that it is right for me in this moment, but I do not believe that how I think about life is the only way to think about life. Like, that's so, I feel like that is so ignorant of me. We are 8 billion people on earth. We have 8 billion representations of how a human form is or can be. We have different expressions of the human form and what it means to be a human. We will inadvertently believe in different things because every single person is creating a different, has a different thought, and then from that thought it is creating a different world, right? And we are, even though we are living in a shared reality, but what we are experiencing is different. The more I believe in this concept that there'll be diversity, and I actually love diversity, it allows me to understand and fall in love even more with my creative power, because I know that if there is so much diversity, it is because my creator, God, has created it this way. And God is is a creator, and so am I, because I am also one manifestation of God in the human form, and so are those other 8 million people, 8 billion people. So it allows me to not waste my energy into trying to convince others about who is right, who is wrong. This is the way you need to look at life. This is the only way. I don't think there is one only way. And I feel like that is so beautiful. We get to have a connection with God in our own way. We get to have a kind of life which is successful, peaceful, satisfying in our own way. Earlier, we used to borrow these understanding of the world and beliefs from our parents. And because we were living in somewhat similar society as our parents, those ideas still worked for us. But now there is such a disassociation in the world, because now I am taking ideas from not only the West, but it's a mix of West and East and South, and it's an amalgamation, and also a, in Hindi we call it khichdi. It's like there's so much mixture of ideas and beliefs and opinions that, although humans are paradoxical in nature, we have now become confused more and more, and we have forgotten to actually sit and try to understand who who do I, what do I feel, who am I, like all these questions are now just, I see on social media and I see, okay, this is what a successful human being looks like, a successful woman looks like. And I try to compare myself to that person who is probably living in a completely different state, with having completely different parents, having completely different set of beliefs about the world, about money, about relationships. And I'm now doing it not to just the other, to my neighbor. I'm doing it to the person on the internet, and I don't know anything about that person other than the things that they're showcasing on social media. So it has skewed our perspective. It has skewed our, it has also, oh, I mean, I love social media. I'm able to do this work because I'm on social media, but it is also because I have sat and thought about this on my own. I have given myself time to convince not others but myself why I deserve to actually find time to do this work for myself. I have actually sat down and done this work where I'm trying, and it's not a done deal, right? I'm evolving, so my definition of myself also keeps evolving. But I have seen over and over again in my coaching sessions how where people are comparing themselves not only now just to the next person that their mother used to compare them to, but also to random people on social media, which is not doing any favor to us. Comparison is a thief of joy, and I do believe it is. If you're comparing yourself to yourself, that is the way. Like you're comparing yourself to the past version, and you can see how that past version was. And if you think that in the past I was following some routine, I was doing this and that I can now start to do that again because I have the past evidence that I've done it before, I can do it now. And you compare yourself to the past version, then actually you can evolve more. And this is like a good situation if the past version was most times when we are comparing ourselves to our past version, we realize how much we have evolved already. So that is the comparison that I mean I do, but I don't compare myself to other person, to any other person, because I don't know. I don't know what their story is. I don't even know if I want their life. I mean, I don't know. Everybody is unique. 8 billion expressions of human form, 8 billion different ways of how to be human. And why do I believe that my expression is not beautiful? I really believe it is. And I believe that every expression is unique and beautiful. Yet, the more I speak to people, the more I talk to people, the more I coach clients, I realize how we are very similar as well. At the core of us, we are very similar. It's like if we go to a party and there are 10 different kinds of cuisine just laid out beautifully, and I get to taste every cuisine, and I would be ecstatic. Like I would be very happy. I would be celebrating. Even though I'm not much of a foodie, I love diversity, and because of that, when I get to taste different kind of food, I enjoy it. I love it. But imagine that the party would have just one food and 10 different plates of the same cuisine, and I would just have one cuisine. There'll be no diversity. I won't, I mean, I don't feel like that. That's a very beautiful or a party that would be talked about. Like we go to party to, I mean, for me, because I don't drink or smoke, for me, party is usually just food and conversations, food, conversation, and dancing. So if I don't get like diversity in food, what am I getting? So it will be a very bland experience for me, and I don't think God loves that. God also enjoys diversity, and that's why we are so diverse. But the thing is that even though these 10 different dishes have different tastes, yet the essence is that these are all energy, right? And food gives me energy. So when I eat them, ultimately every dish will give me the same thing. So even the 10 same dishes will give me that energy, and different dishes will give me the energy. The difference is that what is my experience of that? And my experience enhances with diversity. And that is what I want to actually share about today, that in next time when you find somebody trying to convince you about what to believe in, about who they are, about, just know that they are on a very different journey where they're actually trying to understand themselves by seeking validation from you about the things that they believe in. I hope you'll remember that. More importantly, I hope that you will not do this to yourself. Like when you start to try to convince somebody of why your opinion is the only opinion, you pause and sit and reflect on, do I even believe this is true or not? I hope you will stop trying to convince others of what you believe in, because people will always believe in what they want to believe in based on what they have believed in their lives till that point. So there is so much energy that gets wasted when we are trying to convince each other of what is good, what is right, what is morally superior, morally correct. Instead, why don't you allow yourself to find that energy and let it go inwards, where you can sit and think about what you believe in? What are you trying to even convince others about you? Is that what you believe in about yourself? Is that how you want other people to see you? Is that how you connect to people? What is it like? What is the why do you want to do that? This kind of thinking will allow you to build a solid foundation of who you are, your identity, your knowing, your understanding of yourself, and from that you can build all the other foundations about the world, about just about everything else. And know that stars don't need convincing. They know they're already meant to shine, so they just do that. Stars don't sit there and try to convince others that I can shine for you. They just do. Today is the day 15 of Codes by Source. I am Ishani, and I'm so grateful that you are on this journey with me. I will see you tomorrow. Let me know what spoke to you. Let me know if there is anything that you'd want me to dig deeper into. And if you think this is helpful, please feel free to share it with others.